Hey everybody, welcome to another live discussions with Dr. D. I am super excited that you guys have decided to join us. I have a very, very special guest, as I've been talking about all week. And that is none other than Dr. Shaneen Corujo. And I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell us a little bit about like who she is, where she's from, and all that good stuff.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Dr. Shaneen Corujo, as Dr. Williams previously said. I am, so a little about me, I am from Blackville, South Carolina. Yay! Right? So, yeah, that's been my home. And so I currently live in Columbia, South Carolina right now, and am a assistant professor of psychology here at Benedict College. And so it's just been a great process. I really have enjoyed, moving here and being here on an HBCU.
Yep.
Working with our students, working with our people, and it's just been a really, really great thing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction. Guys, we're going to jump right in. This is everybody's lunch hour. And I knew this was going to happen with the internet. It says low network connection. So let's see if, it will still record because it said it's still recording.
Okay.
I just want to make sure everything is copacetic on that end. But I'm going to leave it there since it says recording.
Okay.
And we'll just, we'll post it because it'll still do it. I've been here before. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, it'll still do it. So
okay.
Anyway, we're going to jump right in. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to kind of chime in with the discussion due to, we got cloudy weather over here, so, some things may be going on. But I want to jump right in to talking about the power of your mind, okay? There's no surprise to why I asked Dr. Corujo to be here, being that she's an assistant professor of psychology. And, of course, everybody knows that psychology is the study of the mind. And, of course, this month has been about African American history. And I wanted to share the importance of African Americans understanding the power of their minds. And of course, I know you're like, well, you have two doctors in front of you and there are a litany of other people that you know who have achieved great things in education. But there are also other people who may not have, understood that they have the same power that
That's
Shaneen
right.
and I both have.
That's
Like,
right. Yes,
we're sitting here, we're talking, but we didn't start here.
That's right.
And it took us understanding the power of our minds in order to, in fact, get to the place of where we are.
Most definitely.
So, we've celebrated African American History Month. This is the last day of February, the last day we're celebrating. Everybody's had their African American history programs. Schools have had their programs. Churches have had their programs. And everybody's dressed the part. African attire, kente cloth, you name it, dashikis. Everybody has. Yeah. We've done the outward work, the outward appearance. We've been flooded on social media of people just representing the African culture and African American culture and paying homage back to our roots. However, I'm a big proponent of understanding that it's not about what you change on the outside. It's about what you change on the inside.
That's right.
And we have to start, of course, with, the change of our mind. So Shaneen, tell us a little bit about, especially for African Americans, why is it important for us to understand the power of our mind?
So, this is the honest part of it. When you look at the power of the mind, we are talking about the mind is what leads every other aspect of our bodies. Right? Yeah. And so there's so much research, so many scholars who've touched on this idea that really and truly, if you have a person's mind, then the body is going to follow, because you don't have to put them in chains. You don't have to physically have them, binded or bonded or whatever the case may be if you have the mind bonded. Yeah. So that tells us a lot about how important it is to be able to have, clarity of the mind. The other thing I'll say is as we get further into discussions, just this idea of the extent to which people have gone over the years to attack the mind, right? Yeah. Because it tells us just how important it is based on that premise alone, right? Yeah. So we have to be able to understand, there's certain levels of consciousness, right? Yeah. There's varying levels of consciousness or whatever. But for us, things such as collectiveness, yes, right? That whole concept of collectiveness or collectivity is very important to the Black community, because it's the whole concept of divided we stand, together we stand, divided we fall, right? And so we have to get back to a place of understanding how is it that we deposit in each other? How is it that we rebuild the trust within our organizations, within our communities? Because when we think of places such as like your Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
Right, which was a very successful Black community. We talk about systems that they had in place, and it was only able to be done based on this perspective of collectivity.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Based on this idea that if I succeed, I am because we are
Yeah.
because I am. And so, that's the mental state that you have to look at, being able to understand how my behavior, my attitude, my the things about me influence the next person.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that's very important. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you absolutely did. And then there were some other things. Again, this is full-on discussion. So there are some things that just popped into my mind when you were sharing. One, when she talked about what affects one affects us all, it's actually an African proverb.
That's right.
And it's what a lot of individuals and tribes on the continent live by. They believe that what you do to one, you do to all.
You do to all.
And that's why it's important to always do good to all.
That's right.
By doing good to the one.
That's right.
And helping the one that you can.
Yes.
You said something that was so impactful, and it made me think about like the Willie Lynch letters. And you said that the overall attack on the African community has been on the mind. And that's pretty much what the institution of slavery was all about.
Most definitely.
It wasn't just about, an economic advancement. It was about the attack of the mind and making, those from African descent feel like they were less than a human being.
Most definitely. I totally agree. And once again, the importance of that. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Dr. Joy DeGruy. She coined a term called post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? And so it came from this study that she had done over a period of about 6 to 9 years, because what she wanted to understand is Black boys, Black girls today, why do they behave this way? What's going on? And so she started tracing back, taking a historical perspective and tracing it back to slavery, right?
Wow.
To see what was going on there. And we talk about this institution that pretty much attacked all aspects of Black life.
Yeah.
Black living, right? We talk about how it attacked the Black family, how it attacked, the Black mind, Black manhood, Black womanhood, just all these various aspects. And so, like you said, a lot of this was done by mentally breaking the slave down. And so how that's connected with us now is she talks about from that, we've had these concepts of multi-generational trauma that have not been healed, and we see that today.
Absolutely, right here.
And it's so powerful. Why? Because it was born on a psychological level, and so if you don't get that healing on a psychological level, here we are, years later, centuries later, still dealing with the same thing. And so we have to be able to address those things. It takes time.
It does.
It's going to take a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of united perspectives, but nonetheless, it can be done.
It can be done.
We know that it can be done.
That's the point. It really can be done. That's pretty much why I'm having these discussions and have had the discussions over the month, is to understand that, the things that we feel like need work, it can be done. But as she said, it's going to take a lot of energy, a lot of manpower, and we have it. We are people who have survived some of the most treacherous environments, so we have the capacity to survive it. She said something about that post-traumatic, was it slave syndrome? Post-traumatic slave syndrome. Let me tell you how real that is. I was watching this, I guess you call it a documentary.
Right.
It was on Hulu.
Okay.
And it was called Emotions 2.0.
Okay.
And if you have not checked it out, check it out. Emotions 2.0. Let me tell you, one thing stood out to me amongst a lot of other things. I mean, there were a lot of things that were great. But the one thing that stood out to me is what she just said about the post-traumatic slave syndrome. But let me tell you from the perspective that they talked about it.
Okay.
They shared that emotions were passed down through DNA.
Exactly.
And so I was like, that was really wild to me. And of course, with this information,